Hi, I'm Michael Smith from Bad Weasel Games and the GameWeasel.com blog. In this video, I'm going to talk about getting 3D models for your games. This is sort of an annex video to my series on porting my game, Big Bad Sudoku Book, to Unity 5, so be sure to check out that series as well. In this video, I'm going to cover 7 places you can find a 3D artist, what to look for in an artist, and then 6 tips for hiring and communicating with a 3D artist so you get what you need. So let's get started. 7 places you can find a 3D artist. Number 1, TurboSquid. These first 2 sites I'm going to show you are kind of cheats. They are places where you can purchase 3D models that are already created. So in these cases, you're not actually hiring the artist per se, but you're simply buying the model to use in your game. Still, for some models, this might be a great solution, and it might be easier just to buy something off the shelf. So let's say we need a pirate ship. Let's search for pirate ship. So here you can see they have a lot of different pirate ships. This site has a lot of models. Okay, let's pick this old pirate ship. That looks pretty good. When you're buying models from sites like this, you want to look at a couple different things. First is the file format. Make sure you're going to get a file format that you can use. In this case, we have an OBJ file, which is perfect. Second, you want to know what textures it includes and the size of those textures. In this case, we have 4K textures, which is great. And third is the polygon count. For games, you typically want lower poly objects. This one has about 30,000. That's not bad for a pirate ship. On TurboSquid, you can also do live chatting 24/7, which is a good feature as well if you have any specific questions or need to ask about what something includes. Number 2 is the 3dstudio.com. I used to prefer 3D Studio over TurboSquid, and now it seems like they're focusing more on selling expensive collectibles. But there is still a 3D model section, so let's give that a try. Again, we're going to search for pirate ship. I have to say they used to have a lot more results. Now it seems like they have just less models and they're a little harder to find. Here's a low poly pirate ship for $15. Again, you want to look for those 3 things. The file format. Here it says that it's a .max file, which I'm not sure I can use. They're also not listing the size of the textures or the poly count, so it might be a slight gamble. And even if you find the perfect model on here, you're always going to want to check both sites to see if it's on the other site cheaper. Number 3 is Elance, or a site like that where you're hiring somebody per hour. Now we're getting into a category of sites where you can hire a real person to do work for you. The best way to find someone on Elance is to just post a job. And I would suggest selecting fixed price instead of hourly. You don't want to get stuck with a large bill if things take longer than the freelancer estimated. One trick I do when posting a job is that in the description section, I'll request that the bidder put in a specific phrase in their job bid. That way, if they don't do it, you know they haven't read the job description and are just bidding blind. Never hire a blind bidder who is requesting a job when they didn't even take the time to read the full job post. You will find that about 80% of the people who bid on your job will say, "I read and understand the job requirements," yet won't include your phrase. Therefore, they are lying to you, and you should never hire someone who would lie in a job application. Number 4 is Fiverr.com. Fiverr's gimmick is that all these people will supposedly do a job for just $5. Each $5 you spend is called a gig, and they have add-ons for larger jobs or faster deliverables. Well, let's look in here for 3D modeling. For me, I don't necessarily want a $5 job done. If it's true that you get what you pay for, you're not going to get much for $5. Usually, I've got more like a $50 type budget. So this is the way I use Fiverr. And they may not like this, but this is just the way I use it. I use it as a recruiting site. Contact the person, find out if they can do the job, pay the $5 to hire them, and then once you have a rapport with them, then you could hire them outside of Fiverr, and I think that that's fine. Number 5 is DeviantArt. DeviantArt.com is a place where artists share what they do. Do not steal art off of DeviantArt. But what you can do is do a search here. Find an artist who has done something you like, then message them within the system to start a dialogue. Then you just hire and pay them through PayPal. My current 3D artist I found through DeviantArt, and he's doing an amazing job. Number 6 is Sketchfab. Sketchfab is fairly new. It's sort of like Flickr for 3D models, and they have thousands of 3D models. And what's cool about this site is you can even see the model in 3D. And look, this one only has 1,400 polygons. That's great. Sketchfab will allow you to download some models, but again, even if it says Creative Commons, I still wouldn't just download and use one of these 3D models in a game. Sign up and you would be able to contact the artist, start a dialogue, and either request permission to use their model or see if they're available for hire. Finally, number 7, game forums. There are so many forums out there where people just post jobs and post their work. This is an excellent place to find good talent. Just as an example, I'm going to show you the Touch Arcade forum. And if we scroll down here, there is services for trade. Here's a guy looking for work. A lot of times these are guys who are just getting started, but that doesn't mean they don't have a lot of talent. I actually once found a guy on a game forum who made me a fleet of pirate ships for only a few $100s. So you can find great deals in forums. So let's talk about what to look for in an artist. For me, the answer to that is in the first of 6 tips for dealing with an artist. Number 1 is make sure you're clear about what you need done. A good 3D artist is both a designer and a modeler. Sometimes you'll find one that's only good at one or the other. I had a modeler once complain and ask who the designer was. I need someone who can take my ideas, design and model something, texture it, take it over the finish line so I don't get stuck doing the finishing work. So make sure you are clear up front about what tasks they need to do. Number 2, get your specs and delivery requirements right. And there's a lot to this. It does you no good to get models back that were done in SolidWorks. So make sure to specify that you need a .obj file or a .dae file or whatever 3D file that you know you can load. By the way, you are going to need a 3D app to load and modify the models. On the Mac, I use Cheetah 3D because it's only $100, but you can also use Blender for free. Also make sure to specify that you'll need low poly models to use in a game, but also that you want high-res texture maps. Even for objects where I don't think I'm going to need high-res textures, I still get them because you never know. I wouldn't take anything less than 2048. Finally on this point, since we're using Unity 5 and the new standard shader, you're going to need to get a metal shininess map. I even told my artist that I would pay for his copy of Substance Painter, and that I'd need copies of the source files in case I wanted to make changes. Number 3, draw something. A picture is worth 1,000 words. The only way to honestly convey what you want is to draw it. Don't worry about your drawing skills. Your drawing of what you want, no matter how bad, will always convey what's in your mind better than words alone will. Number 4, send reference photos. Again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here's an example of a sheet I put together for the pirate ships I wanted. It has screenshots from a movie, examples of the kinds of textures I want, and examples of other 3D models that I liked. Number 5, avoid confusion. If you provide too much reference, it can actually work against you. Sometimes I get lazy and just send a Google search link, and that can actually be a bad thing. It's better to send just 1 or 2 references and not overwhelm the artist. Another pitfall is to send a reference and say, but not like this. Sometimes one part of a reference is perfect and another part is way off. If that's the case, take it into Photoshop and black out the parts that aren't relevant and draw an arrow to the thing that is. Any reference you send, even if you tell them to ignore it, might be taken as relevant and could influence them. And this applies even more when you're dealing with a freelancer whose first language isn't the same as your language. This is already confusion waiting to happen. And finally, number 6, ask for a drawing back. The best way to make sure your artist is on the same page that you're on is to get a drawing back before they start modeling. Then you know they've got the same vision you have. Okay, well that's it. Hopefully these tips will have you on your way to hiring an artist and getting some awesome 3D models back. Please subscribe to my channel, and also please comment and let me know what you think of this video, and if there's any questions or suggestions you have for other videos, let me know that also. And be sure to check out my series on porting my game Big Bad Sudoku Book to Unity 5. Thanks for watching.